Okay. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dowell. I'm here again with Brother Tyler and Brother Paul, and we're here in the third and final segment of this particular series right here. We left off talking about the jury system and the people and the conditioning of their minds. We're going to go a little bit different direction in this particular segment right here. All right, we're going to talk about the purchase of firearms and the transportation of firearms and how you can possibly receive firearms. Because in the United States of America, if you purchase a firearm, you have to actually go to the gun shop and pick it up. Or you have to have, let's say if I was in Kentucky, I live in Tennessee, I would have to actually pay a fee for the sheriff department to actually go across the state line, and he would pick up the weapon, and then he would give me the paperwork, necessary paperwork to fill out before I can actually get the firearm. All right, but up here, how does it work up here? If I wanted to buy a gun online, could I possibly have it shipped to my front door, or do I have to actually go through all these legal gymnastics in order to obtain my firearm?
Well, up here you can actually have a firearm shipped straight to your door with the ammunition in it without a lock and key. And in fact, one time there was a guy who actually bought an AR-15, which is of course a restricted rifle here, as well as 4 handguns. And they shipped it all in the same container with thousands of rounds of ammunition for each gun. And they shipped it in an explosives container labeled with explosives. And it was just in that container in Canada Post UPS, and it's just shipped straight to your door. Anybody can open it and see what's in it, but except there's just a little zip tie on it, just as a marker to see if somebody's opened it. But that's it.
So pretty much, I mean, I see in some aspects that it seems like y'all have more, let's say less scrutiny and more freedom, more liberties in certain areas than we do in this so-called slogan and banner, proud to be an American. Well, at least we know we're free. The people don't feel like that. I mean, they have to actually force their freedoms. But so it seems like that there are things that can go on in this country, and this is a country where basically people can't, and it's not an open society where people can openly carry guns. But in America, it's a society where you can carry guns. Some places concealed, some places it's open carry by state law. So in that aspect, when you walk around downtown Toronto or something like that, do you ever see anybody have any firearms on?
Other than police officers or armed security guards, like doing bank runs, picking up funds, no, you don't typically see.
So there's no concealed carry in the city?
Transportation, like Brother Tyler was saying, with unrestricted weapons like long rifles, shotguns for hunting, you can have them in the back of your car at your discretion. With restricted firearms like pistols and such, what they used to have was a document called an authorized to transport, and basically you had to belong to a gun club and you had permission to transport your firearm from the locked place in your home or wherever it's stored to and from the gun club only. And if, let's say, it's in your trunk and the police pull you over and you're not on your way to the gun club, you're nowhere near the gun club or your home, you can be charged because, well, what are you doing with this restricted weapon and where are you taking it?
Really?
So you were very restricted. Now they've just changed the law. You no longer require the authorized to transport because your firearm license is now your authorized, because people say it's ridiculous. If I got to go to the gunsmith to get a repair, I have to call the RCMP, get a temporary authorized transport just to take it to the gunsmith. So now they've abolished that. Where the scrutiny comes in Canada is more in the licensing process. Once you're actually licensed, which takes time, then, you know, as Brother Tyler said, it's a lot easier to purchase a firearm, whether it's in person or over the phone or on the internet. Typically, you give your firearm license number, they do the background check it with the authorities, and if everything checks out clear, then they deliver the firearm however you choose to pick it up or have it shipped. So the scrutiny is in your getting licensed. Once you're actually licensed, then it's like assumed that you're clear and safe.
So basically here in Canada, even though y'all are a society that prohibits people from actually having a firearm on their person, y'all actually kind of like in some aspects like New York, like Chicago and LA. In other words, I thought I remember hearing you saying that gun crime is on the rise, or we call it gun crime because that's what they designate. We know it's a people crime and not gun crime. But y'all actually have, in this society that prohibits people carrying guns, you actually have a lot of gun crimes. Is that true?
Yes, sir. And just like in Chicago or New York, these are criminals who are not legal gun owners. They don't have the permission, they don't have the permits. They've just bought them on the black market or stolen them to use crimes.
Do you know anything about any other?
Well, a disarmed society is a vulnerable society.
Mm-hmm.
As far as carrying goes, the only way that you as a citizen can carry is if your life is directly threatened by a group of people such as the Hells Angels. And then you can go to the court, and if they so choose, they can allow you, if you inquire, they can allow you to be able to carry a pistol or a rifle or a short shotgun in your vehicle.
So what is the overall sentiment of the Canadian citizens about all these restrictions against guns here in the country?
Well, I mean, with the rural people, it's extremely conservative. We all want gun rights in rural areas because, well, as I said in the first video, most people in rural areas have more guns than even the people in the rural areas in the States. And of course, in the city, it's becoming more conservative in the city, I find, where people actually want to realize that they need to protect themselves. And that's what I alluded to in the first video with the Toronto gun buy after the Sandy Hook shooting. So it's getting a little bit better, and some of the laws have changed, as Brother Paul said, about the ATT, the authorization to transport being directly connected to your card now, so you don't have to phone the police department every time you want to carry your pistol to the range. So it's getting better in some areas, but then in other areas, it's like one hand gives, the other hand takes, right? So.
Well, I'll tell you what, I hope y'all all enjoy these 3 segments right here. It's always good to have information and to be armed with knowledge, because education is usually a key. Because if you could, I mean, if you find yourself in the wrong place, wrong position, wrong time, and you accidentally, you was at home, you had your firearm, you laid it in your vehicle or something like that because you may have been out on a range. I assume that y'all can shoot at a range, correct? Can you shoot at your own property?
Well, yes, you can shoot at your own property if it's a rural property, and I know people that we're on the highway. We just walk out in our back porch and shoot off 100 rounds at will. You can't do that with a restricted firearm, technically, although people still do it, right?
Right.
So as far as that goes, that's pretty free. And generally, if you're hunting small game or if it's hunting season, you have a license and a tag. You can go out walking around the bush with your rifle and everything, just normal.
So I would pretty much be fair to say, after listening to both of you, since you're both natives of this land, that the general public of Canada would much rather have the right to carry a firearm than to be disarmed.
More so now.
I would say in the cities there's still a strong sentiment against them, especially because of the media. Like generally members of gun clubs, gun enthusiasts. There's only one gun club now operating in the whole city of Toronto. There used to be several. The previous mayor shut a lot of them down. The one that's still operating is only operating because it's private property and they own it. And there's still government people, city aldermen are always trying to find an excuse to try and hassle them because they want them and people want them out of the area. But it's very low key, like it's not advertised that it's a gun club and people aren't told where it is because there is a lot of public sentiment against it still.
Well, all right. Well, finishing off this particular interview right here, this statement is mostly directed at Americans. Check this out. A society that is not armed is a compliant society. With that, we say shalom.
Go.
Shalom.